Ta-da! Oh, and hello!
Hello!
Greetings and welcome to you, my wonderful peoples. Hi. Hello. I am your DM for this evening, Toronto's greatest supervillain and evil genius, Dr. Tierwood. And I am joined, of course, on our 4th installment of our wonderful D&D amazing adventure across space and time. These wonderful peoples that I have here, starting with Articulate T, playing Martis the Minotaur.
Hashtag one sad moo.
one like equals one tier.
Hashtag.
And we've got Cassie D20 Love Chew playing our Banshee Whee Blue Leaf.
Hey everybody. Hashtag sad ghost.
Hashtag sad ghost. And of course we've got J-Nerd playing our Black Dragonborn, who is not in the game right now.
Hashtag Black
Zephyr.
There you are.
Am I here?
Not on Roll20 yet.
Not on Roll20, you're not.
Oh no, I'm not because my internet's down.
Rip. We're just gonna pretend like you are.
We'll just pretend here.
Okay.
That I am for now.
And after that, we've got Sarah the Sass Elf, who is playing our wonderful Mind Flayer, known as Ophelia.
Hashtag Sassy Squid.
And we've got Ninja with a Soul Patch joining us here, playing Gowl Embrace, our turtle.
I'm too old for hashtags.
No, you're not. That is a lie.
Hashtag Grandpa Turtle. Hashtag Grumpy Grandpa. Hashtag Turtle Grandpa. You have the most hashtags out of anybody so far.
Hashtag Eldritch Blastoise.
Yeah, you have the most hashtags. You shut your mouth.
I'm too old for hashtags, he says.
Now
And then, of course,
Hashtag too old for hashtags.
last but certainly not least, we've got Steve the Seregios coming in as our Revenant, Leshen.
Yeah, I'm not ascribing to this nonsense.
Oh, if you don't, we're gonna
Thanks
do
for
it for
solidarity,
you.
Steve.
Spooky.
Hashtag 2 spoops of raisins.
You heard it here first, folks.
It's done. It's permanent now. You can't get rid of it.
Because you can't get rid of Raising Bran.
Yay! Boo! Also.
Chorus of booze.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Oh goodness. So, when last we left our intrepid travelers, they had made their way to the monstrous wastes up in the north. They had just exited the gates of Autometh and had begun to make their way across the ruined and gray wastes.
Is this what it's like being shut in and like coming out of your bedroom and you're like, oh god,
Yes.
oh god.
Speaking as a serial shut-in, yes, this is almost exactly what it's like.
Oh.
And thank you very much for Mr. Classic Magic for the follow, and we got Mr. Windex has also followed us. Thank you very much, and the $10
Mr. Windex.
because I support my friends. Thank you so much, Mr. Classic Magic, for the donation.
Aw.
Thank you, Mr. Classic
on our
Magic. You are
way.
the best.
My favourite thing is internet call signs that are like really mundane brands of like cleaning products and stuff like that.
Mr. Windex.
It's very good. Mr. Windex is very good.
Pretty good.
Mr. Classic Magic.
Is also very, very good.
I'm enjoying
Mister
this.
plus any like weird inanimate object or brand name is good.
Mr. 2 scoops of raisins.
Yeah, around about. You say that, but we all giggle.
No, it's great. It's great. I love it.
It's a good time. All right, so you guys have found yourselves in the dry air of the northern monstrous wastes located just outside the gates of Autometh, and the air isn't cold; it's just kind of tepid. It's not necessarily cold or hot; it's just sort of like in that middle zone. The air
It's
is also
England.
very dry. It is England. As some clouds blow by, the sky is gray, and a bit of dust kicks up with a gust of wind.
Oh, sweet, just like home.
Right there.
So here, here.
Yeah.
Here. I want to be up here.
Here.
And so it begins.
And so it has begun.
And
Hey,
Ophelia
how do
just
you
stands.
do the thing? I want to do that.
Ophelia
That's my
just
joke, it's
stands
mine.
at the door, watching them all run around like children, just being like, "Oh gods, oh gods, what have I done?"
Now, for some of you, this has been the first time you've been on the surface in quite a while. It does not smell nice up here.
Less bodies than I remember. Which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Siaces is a little bit shaken to see the state of things, for sure.
It has been quite some time since she's been to the surface, yeah.
Oh, Zephyr is a lot shaken.
Everybody has a little shudder.
Just
Yeah,
just a
I
lot.
don't think anyone
shot.
in the party is just like, oh yeah, this is great. It's like, no, this is.
That was great. That's great.
One panic. There we go.
Lovely weather. What a jolly afternoon.
10 out of 10.
Fucking jolly out here. Look at all of this
Why
gray.
don't we live here?
How dry is the air?
Oh, it's pea dry. You'll notice
no.
that like the
not
ground
dry.
Complexion.
made from gray waste and sort of like cracked clay and dust seems to be entirely barren of life. And the air almost just as barren of moisture. Despite the fact that it is overcast and it is cloudy in the sky and there's some low clouds that kind of drift by, the air is arid.
Gal, hold breath.
Hold breath.
This is canon. This is happening now.
This isn't going to help you for very long.
Takes a deep breath, starts trudging.
Yup.
Now,
Yeah,
some of
I don't
you-
have to breathe.
Yeah. Some of you may have heard of the fact that there are still some clans of bestial races that live in these wastes, but it's hard going for them for the most part, though they are fiercely independent and very territorial.
Oh, one of those beast clan places where we're heading? Because I know we're visiting a village here, but we don't have the map up currently, so I'm not too sure.
Well, thank you, Janeyard, for the host of one person. The way that it is right now, that's a cute dog.
Surprise, werewolf encounter, let's go!
Surprise! Surprise! It's a bunch of little adorable dogs.
Sorry.
You're attacked by a
I didn't know
bunch
where
of
the mute button was.
terriers.
I didn't know where the mute button was.
It's all good.
Surprise encounter, roll initiative, Pomeranians everywhere.
Who's you? He is a Maltese Shih Tzu. He's better than those little yippy yappers.
You better start shih tzu in your pants, because they're like...
Anyway.
2d6 flumps.
coming.
All right.
Hashtag free the dog.
So, let's come back to the map then. Let's pull back to the map. So let's bring you all there as well, instead of just myself. Hey. The gates of Autometh to the north is where you guys have exited the arid mountains. You're now in the monstrous wastes.
So we're like exactly there.
You're just there. Here is
Cool.
where you've been
They're
told
here?
to go. This ruined
okay.
village that is down at just outside of those trees.
Right, so it's a straight shot south, pretty much.
Right there.
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
Not
That
here.
one.
Here.
This is my joke, and it's not
Are
even
you
funny.
telling
Like,
Yeah, it's not even
I
funny.
took it,
one
and now I want to do it.
But yes, that is right there. The space. That is the ruined village that evidently on this map has no name.
okay, so that's 20 feet. Cool, let's go, everyone.
I mean, that's a little. Yeah. I
Now,
don't think that's
traveling
20 feet.
down the monstrous wastes, even to the edge of that forest, is gonna be about 2
Oh.
days' travel.
A while, that's a big distance.
It is gonna be a ways.
Hmm.
So what do you guys get up to?
Well, it's when we left, it was
doing?
pretty much dawn, right? In the Autometh when we left.
Yes, it was about 8 in the morning. You guys
Right,
got an
and-
early start.
And the day-night cycle in Autometh is a mirror of the overworld, right? It's not like it's skewed off. They like did their best to try and keep it to the same time zone, right?
Whoops.
Yes, it does have day-night cycle that matches the above world.
Okay, so right now it's probably about what? After we walk through the gate, about like 9 o'clock in the morning.
It's like 8:30.
8:30. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So we can definitely
Oh,
get.
bedtime? Got it.
Cool, 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 cool.
Cool. No doubt.
No doubt, no doubt.
Nice. Well, Leshen's just okay, and sets off, ready to go.
Everybody starts trudging south.
Yep.
Yep, I'm down
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
Are these up like from when us who were? Because I know I've been here when I was alive. Is it much different from then? Is it just grayer than I remember?
It is, strangely enough, almost identical from when you were
Right.
here.
Okay.
You
But cleaner.
still, yeah. Well, I mean, it's just any footprints or tracks or signs of your initial assault back when you were alive seem to have been blown away by the dust. And that many other things that have been sort of outside the gates, like a flagpole that's been planted here and there, whatever flag was on them seems to have rotted away. The wood has died and sort of cracked and fallen over.
Jesus.
Can I see if any of the stones we're surrounded with are either brimstone or black onyx?
Yeah, do me a search.
You are our nature boy, so. Whoa.
Nature investigation.
Do me nature, because you're out in the outdoors.
The nature boy. Whoa.
That's a 5.
Hashtag nature
That's
boy.
5. Yeah.
Most
More
of the stone,
hashtags.
as you dig around, most of the stone seems to almost crumble in your hands when you pick it up. You don't find any brimstone, you don't find any black onyx. I mean, most of it just seems to be like, it's almost like sandstone or granite or just
Yeah.
other basic stones that you kind of come across, but it seems that even the life from the rock itself has been removed, as some of it, when you pick it up, just crumbles, cracks.
And the ground
Gross.
is probably like what? Like clay peat. It's
Yeah,
not,
it's
not
mega
like
fucking
fertile
bad.
at all.
No.
Watching the stones crumble in Gal's hand, Ophelia just kind of walks up and looks at it very quizzically and just goes, "Is that what's supposed to happen up here?"
Leshen's very pointedly. No.
Not what I think, no. Rock is not
Actually-
supposed to do this.
Ophelia, as you have done study into the surface world, if you do me a history check, I could give you a bit more information.
Give me 1 second.
Hmm.
Up there.
Found it.
Oh,
Nice.
Ooh, 17.
17.
Big
That's
numbers.
a good roll.
So, from the texts that you've been able to find that discuss the overworld, it was not always like this. At least not before the war.
Hmm.
And the Great War that the Empire had when it clashed with the monsters that lived in the north, most of them that had sort of correlated and congregated up here, the land was not always like this.
It is different seeing it for herself, though, because she hasn't ever actually been up here before.
Yeah, true. But at one point, they described this as it was the monstrous wastes, but it was filled with trees and paths and tribes. And
It was
things like
monstrous in the sense that it was like wild and untamed, but
Yes.
there
Yes.
was definitely life.
that. It was not literally barren.
Okay.
Yeah. So but this was centuries ago.
Yeah.
The life has been eaten here, all but taken away.
He just keeps walking south.
The Empire would have played a strong part in that.
It's always what the Empire does. Takes and takes.
You have no idea the half of it.
Don't I?
Kind of gives him a side eye, but just keeps walking.
He's grumps.
Grandpa's mad.
Not like my entire people were killed or anything. Oh, fuck.
Welcome to the club, buddy.
me.
You came back.
People were wiped out.
You came back. It's like, yeah, and I also lost all of my human emotions. It's
The
not great.
path leads
I
this
died,
way,
bruh!
I believe. Who wishes to take point of us? Who is the tracker, I suppose, of our grouping?
Leshen, who is already leading the party, raises his hand like, I've tread these paths and I remember them all too well.
Fair enough. We will defer to your judgment. If that is alright with everyone else.
I'm fine with it.
Sices
Nah.
nods.
Martis gives a nod.
Ophelia just doesn't say anything.
My memory has not decayed over time. It's just the world may have changed in the decade that it was since I was last here.
Yes, the sky is much darker than I remember. Anyway,
Did Benjamin give us a name of the village we are headed towards?
No.
It's just...
It is just that the village has been destroyed.
Do I remember what it was? Should I...
From what you remember from the time that you were alive, that town was always ruins. And
Always
the other
ruins.
members of your empire spoke of it as a stain. Those people were heretics. They worshipped heathen gods. And were punished for not joining the rest of the empire in their righteous and correct ways of living.
Can I do either a history or religion check?
Yes, you may, actually. You can do history. Are you trying to figure out, like, what religion it was, or...?
I'm trying to find out a little, like, if I would know a little bit more about the village. Or just kind of villages that would be in the area. And history. Go.
That's pretty good.
Go gadget
Yeah.
history. So
15.
yeah, no, looking at it, you've kind of sort of remember how it went. There was a book that just simply spoke that the village that did once exist there worshipped gods that were not the gods of light. They weren't the gods of order, and were thereby considered heathenists, and should not have been discussed upon by others. The history books are strangely sparse on
But
that
they were,
information.
but generally the people who lived there were considered like the more normal races, correct?
Oh yes, it was humans. The
Okay.
folks that lived there, they were the same simple, like, happy races that did exist before. They were humans. They were other regular folk.
Just not your Empire brand God-fearing humans.
Exactly.
Also, thank you to Brom for those 100 bits.
Thank you.
Oh, bits!
It's
Make it
Evil
right.
D&D time.
Wahoo bits.
Wahoo bits!
The bits. The bits.
The bits.
Stop saying wahoo!
No, Adam.
We're on,
Stop
like, the
saying
same-
wahoo.
Wave or something.
It's
It's
great.
as if
I love it.
like half of the people here have watched Steven Universe or something. How about that shit?
No,
Wonder what
no
gives
one,
you-
no one heard of that. I don't. What is that? Who?
What?
Anyway.
What is a
Me.
Steven?
Me.
What is a Steven?
And the Steven and the Space Moms? What?
That's not me.
Stefan Galaxy? Is that what it's called? What?
Stefan Galaxy.
My God.
OC, do not steal.
Oh, God.
Anyway.
Steph.
Okay, guys, let's
go.
keep it on the
Okay,
game.
let's go.
Any goddamn way.
Uh, Would Siaces be at all familiar with any of this? Can I roll a thing?
You know what? Roll me history with advantage.
Roll you a history. 21.
Jesus, Harold Christ and rubber crutches. So yeah, I know, with advantage, that's a 21.
Yup.
and Rob's cheer just came through. Hooray!
Yeah.
Oh, and another one.
Steve, you salty zombie Belmont. Wahoo! God damn it, people, stop saying wahoo.
And we've got a raid from Spooty. Thank you. So, Siaces, the Banshee who was once a living member of the Empire, your memory of your previous life is distant. It's just bits and pieces that you get here and there, this and that, just like little echoes every now and then. Small things that remind you of stuff, but you're not sure where or why or how. But from what you do remember, looking at maps, the maps that you remember, the Empire was a bit smaller. And that village was still there. But you can't remember the name.
Huh.
Well,
Yeah.
guess we better head there and find it.
Yeah.
Now, just one quick second. I'm going to close my window because I just realized it's still open, and there is a world out there making noise. Like assholes.
There's people and they're doing things. Ah! Watch out, it's people and they're being people.
Oh, gross.
Wow, how dare.
There we go. And I'm back. But yeah, trying to recall the name of the village, you do recall a map that you had hanging in a room. You're not sure if it was yours or if it was another room, but it was in the home that you used to live in.
Guess we should get going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I would relay that information, but Sices doesn't actually know that any of it is very valuable.
Sorry,
That's
just
fair.
to clarify, does I can't remember from last time what we decided. Does Sices float like an inch off the ground, or does she actually walk?
Her choice.
I'm walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will float when want, but for now, dual walk.
You didn't give
Good
me
job.
the option to float. Meh.
You're not a ghost.
Yeah.
Now I
I
am.
will.
I'm a living bag of water. Walking sucks.
Yes, it does.
Hard
When we
to
get to
read.
water, you can swim.
There's a stream. There's a stream there. There's a stream here, so just
Invest in
slide
Tensor's
on.
floating disc.
Yeah, just fucking hover car your way everywhere.
Right. So I'm taking point. So
I will
let's
be behind Leshen.
Go go go.
Dope, 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 dope,
Uh,
dope, dope, dope.
I guess Martis will be at the back.
I'm gonna like walk closely next to Martis because Martis and big is big and makes me feel safe.
Martis is big
I
friend.
will be.
Big move.
I will be by Gowl.
Which leads Ophelia slap bang in the middle.
Reptilian.
I
Protected
am-
on all sides.
Perfectly fine with that.
Beset on all sides by edgelords.
Reptile solidarity.
Don't
Okay.
worry, she's able to distract herself by her tiny friend wrapped around her neck.
Oh yeah.
Tiny,
Tiny
friend!
Surf.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Let's
All right,
continue.
so as you're making your way through the wastes, things are pretty quiet. Who is on point?
Me.
Do me a perception check.
Sure thing, boss. Perception. 7.
Dope. Fuck. You don't hear or see anything.
Okay.
That's fine.
Can the other people that are close to the
I was about to say
Right,
Gowl is
also-
standing like right behind
yeah,
me.
can Howl and Zephyr also try that?
Yeah, sure, I'm gonna allow it.
Turtle Grandpa is breathing down my neck.
Is it going?
Oh, there we
Okay.
go. Okay, I was like, where is numbers?
I was just like,
14 will I'll assist Leshen with a 14.
It's delayed slightly because both Adam and myself have our 3D dice enabled to make it look nice and fancy whenever we roll the dice. So we'll come up with a thing and then the numbers will load in, just to allow animations to play.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Can I turn that off?
Fancy fuckers.
fancy.
Yep,
Fucking
You can. There's a in the settings thing. There's a thing that you
Enable
can
3D dice.
Yeah.
Do not enable 3D dice. Automatically roll 3D dice. Do I also turn that
3D
off?
dice. Stop it.
Because normally if you don't have automatically roll 3D dice, you have to like click and drag on a point of the screen to do like a physics engine sort of throw, which is really tedious. So they added in a thing where you could just
4D
does it.
dice.
Okay.
They breathe on
We
you.
should
It's
be
weird.
back in business. All right, 14 on perception and 11 on perception for Zephyr.
Okay. Thank God. Alright, sweet.
Apologies for my
Thank
random
God
roll
others
wasn't
have
that
eyes.
Big few. Alright, cool. Yeah, that should be fine. Alright, so, the two of you, as you're walking along, you spy, up in a top corner, away from you, there is, just like, you see, just like some rocks kind of tumble off from the top. Zephyr, you see like some kind of like from a ridge that's up to your right. You see a few of the rocks kind of tumble down. You're not sure if that was the wind. Gowl, you thought you saw something move up there.
Halt.
Halting commences.
We're being watched. The ridge up towards the right of us, that peak, something was up there.
He points with his cane up towards it.
Zephyr's gonna slowly take out her short bow and not really aim, but
Be
just
ready
get
to
ready.
blam a bitch.
Yeah.
There is no sound as you guys have stopped, and you're sort of arming yourselves and getting ready. Do you continue to move south, but with like with guarded posture?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'll go
I'm
slowly.
good with
I was just
Yeah.
thinking, but he's got his hand around the hand crossbow, and so he's like,
that. Gal will keep his eyes trained on
Give
that like
me-
area.
1 second, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Da, 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 da. I'm just checking on something really quickly.
Okay.
Okay. I am going to. How long does that take? Wait, quickly. Connection. Hour. I am going to summon an unseen servant.
Ooh.
Ooh.
That's a
So-
lot of text.
Yeah. Basically,
Oh.
short version of that is I summon an unseen servant, so I can mentally telepathically command it, and I think it can talk. No, it can't quite talk to me.
Yeah, it can't attack.
No, I don't care about attacking.
Yeah. It is invisible.
I am going to send it to check to see if there is anything up on anyone hiding on or around the hill, and to report back to me.
It can't talk or telepathically communicate with you, though.
Yeah, but I'll know when he's back.
But you can't see him.
Okay, I can command him. I can feel him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you can. So you ask it to go scout that ridge.
Yes.
I'm to like
Okay.
tap you on the shoulder
So-
if there is something or something.
It is
Yeah.
invisible. That's actually that's good. It's very.
It is
Um,
100% invisible.
Yeah, it floats away in that direction. It doesn't leave any trace as it moves, but you kind of sense it move up over that ridge. And there's a few seconds, and then you sense it return.
Yep. In the meantime, everyone, continue moving as if we didn't see anything.
I mean, we didn't see anything. It's invisible.
Just everyone stopped and took out their guns all at once, and then started walking again. So somebody saw some shit, but you sense the unseen servant returns, and down in the dust at your feet, the word "yes" is written out.
How many? Tap me on the shoulder. How many?
It taps you 6 times.
Ooh.
Jeez.
Oh no.
Oh no.
6v6, here we go, boys.
Well, hold on. Did you relay that to us?
Well, if you let me talk, I will. There are 6 things up there. I don't know what, because it can't convey information that complicated. As we're still, I assume we're still walking slowly down
Oh,
the
yes,
path, correct?
yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. My arrow's still like at that spot. Like I'm slowly turning, and not really paying attention to where I'm walking.
Oh, you drew an arrow?
So
Oh, yeah.
like I have my short bow.
Yeah, like she got out her
Okay.
short bow. A couple other people like kind of armed themselves and then kept walking. Hashtag Ivan Tumbledown. Thank you, Rob. So, in the silence as you guys keep moving, every now and then, you might catch just the edge of something on some of the rocks or some of the ridges around you. But the rest of the day moves by, relatively uneventful, and you make camp.
Okay.
Do you guys try to find like a cave, or do you make camp against a rock, or do you do it in the open?
I would very much like to not be in the open, if at all possible.
Could we find, like, are there any more of, like, the rocks like these ones that, like, hang over?
Yeah, oh yeah, if you want to try to find, like, one of those jutting rocks that sort of has a bit of an overhang, like, sort of tuck your camp in under there, then absolutely, yeah, no, that would be totally fine.
Yes, preferably one that
like
gives...
a space like one of those.
Yeah, preferably one that gives sight access of said ridge that they've been running across. Because I don't need to sleep, so I can just watch.
Well, I mean, when you tuck yourselves in there, if you do light a fire, it will hide that light. You know that much. But you are then also underneath one of the ridges that they might be moving along. Because as you guys have been going along, there is no shortage of these crags and rocks sticking out of the ground that they've sort of been, whatever these things are, ducking in between.
Is there no cave that we can find? So that
actually,
we're
you know what?
protected on all sides.
Do me a nature check, whoever wants to look for cave.
Except if there's something inside the cave.
I am
That'd be a problem.
into that if no one else is.
Mine's okay. If anyone has better, thinks they have better.
-2, sadly.
I am trained in nature and was a druid once.
I've never been to the surface world, so not a good thing for me.
I'll
Right,
give
so-
it a go.
Gal,
Cave's a cave.
give me a nature.
14.
You actually find like it's kind of a cave. Like it's not too deep. It's relatively shallow. It only goes in maybe about 2-3 meters. But you guys can sort of huddle in there for the night if you would like.
It's not the worst, but not the best. It'll have to do.
They provide shelter and cover, and that's what's important.
Walking
Keep the
into
light
the
low.
cave, Ophelia kind of visibly relaxes without even knowing that she was tense.
Zephyr is going to continue being tense, but she puts away her short bow, but has a grip on the dagger that she has on her waist, and is still not like trustworthy of like anything that is outside.
Ashton is going to start on laying down satchels and whatnot and getting a fire going and such and such.
Gal will start writing in his books.
Mardus will prepare to settle down for the night, but he'll kind of occasionally look at the mouth of the cave, just kind of stop and stare at it for a couple of minutes before continuing his settling in.
Okay. So the night passes with, I'm gonna say, relative ease. There isn't too much going on, but who stays awake and on watch? That's Leshen and
I
Ophelia's
do
gonna
not need sleep.
so Saices is also up.
Ophelia's gonna stay up because she slept the night before, and I think we decided she only needs to sleep every 3 days.
It's every few days, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can also stay up this evening if you would like as well.
I'm gonna say Zephyr is like sort of asleep, but she's still like really twitchy, so she wakes up every couple
You're a
minutes.
restless sleeper. It's a tense
Yeah,
situation.
she's pretty much. She's like, I don't want to sleep, but OMG, am I tired?
I will stay with Zephyr and give occasional head pats.
As head pat the black bean.
Yeah.
Reptiles
No
on
black
there.
He's
Mardus
reading his
will-
book with one hand and patting with the other, just not paying attention but reading his book.
Yeah. Mardus will, it'll take him a while to get to sleep, but he kind of just lies down on his side or on his front and just kind of eventually manages to doze off.
I thought you were like an actual cat and slept standing up.
He like bends his legs in.
All right,
So, wait. Over the
Okay.
course of the night, Ophelia will be kind of alternating between reading some of the books she brought, like one of the books she brought with her, or making a small pile of pebbles and throwing them for Seth to try and catch.
Oh,
Yeah, train the dexterity.
The tiny little octopus familiar that you have. Do me a dexterity for Seth.
For Seth, okay, give me 1 sec.
Yeah,
yeah.
do me a dexterity
Train
save
him
for
up.
Seth.
Oh, don't have the little pebbles hit him in the head.
I can't wait for my intense Seth montage for him to come back as a giant buff octopus.
Oh, it's a 9. Okay,
He's
so
gonna fumble.
you don't hurt him because you just kind of you're softball and you're like underhanding tiny pebbles at it.
Yeah,
And
like over
it has
his
its
head.
it has its front 4 tentacles kind of in the air, and occasionally like it catches a little less than half of them that you throw, but occasionally they like boink, they just bounce off its head, and it just keeps smiling at you. It just adorably sort of just having its tentacles in the air, like throw me another one, like, and you throw another one, and then he might like kind of knock it out of the air into the dust in front of him, and then he'll just throw me another, and then boink off his head, like it's.
If I don't get a T-shirt of this adorable little octopus, I'm gonna sue.
Cut to
I need
like
this in my life.
Riot.
cut to like mid to late campaign, and Steph has taken levels in Monk to get deflect missiles.
Please?
Now, did you guys light a fire?
I
thought Leshen did, right?
I was going to, under the pretense that at least a few people in the party need to,
Yeah.
especially because we have reptilian friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do me. Okay, so do me a. Is there survival? Is that still a skill?
Yep. Survival is a skill, but
I see it.
making a campfire.
Well, do me a survival to see how much wood you can find.
Oh, okay, fair. That
Ooh, that's
Because there's not a lot of wood.
I don't think I brought any
Wait, what's a tinder box?
That's
Oh,
like
I
a box
have-
of matches, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
box
like,
is. It comes with like a flint and tinder, as well as like a few little bits of wood to start a fire.
Because
For
I
those
have
who like
that.
started with like explorers packs and stuff, you'll have a tinder
Yeah,
box.
I
Which
have
is
a
good for
tinder
starting
box.
fires.
Okay.
Oh.
Set fire.
So you have a if you have a tinder box, you can offer it up, and he'll get advantage on starting the fire.
Yeah, but for
Like
now
my
I
tinder
need to.
box?
Leshen goes in his coat and pulls out one of his own. He's like, always stay prepared.
Alright, fine. Go back to sleep then.
Aw.
Curl up in my cloak.
19
Oh, man.
survival to
That's a pretty good-
Survival.
some kind of.
So you put a
Best
few
stuff
rocks in a
fire.
circle, and you're kind of kicking around in the dust that's just outside your cave, and you actually find what appears to be the remains of a wagon. And it's like a lot of rotted wood, and it's extraordinarily dry, and
I
you
was about
managed
to
to
say, as long
salvage
as it's
enough
dry,
for the
it'll
night's
burn.
wood. Yeah, you managed to
long-
salvage enough for the night's wood. You make yourself a little fire, you get it started, and it's very warm and cozy for the folks who are in the cave, having themselves a deep little snooze next to it.
Especially since like we have a dragonborn and a turtle who are.
Now, Ophelia is going to move as far away from the fire in the back of the cave as humanly possible, because that's hot and dry.
It's so dry.
It's a very unhappy.
Leshen does apologize for that. He's like, it would be no good to have more than our members go without sleep, since they will not be able to get decent rest.
No one said they had to go without sleep, but did it need to be such a fire?
Warmth.
I mean, as night comes, it does get like a little chilly. Like you're looking at like 9 degrees or so. Like it's uncomfortable if you're not.
Yeah, I was
like,
about to
bundled.
say you're not going to sleep 9 degrees just out in the open.
Yeah. So now.
Reason, even though we were all in Canada, I thought you meant 9 degrees Fahrenheit.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know why.
And even those of us who are not in Canada still use Celsius.
I don't know why.
And you're dead. Congratulations,
Blocks of
everyone! You are now
cereals and stuff.
blocks of ice. You are adventuresicles. And
Congratulations, you got pole popsicles.
all right, so
Whoops, I think we killed him. Sorry.
now as everybody drifts off to sleep, and Ophelia spends the evening reading and playing with Seth, her little octo friend. Cyaces and Zephyr, are you guys both on watch at the edge of the cave?
Leshen, yes. I am sat at the mouth of the cave, yeah.
Okay, Cyaces, where do you end up staying for the night? Like, where are you positioned?
I guess I'm kind of at the entrance area of the cave as well, hanging out with Leshen.
Because I basically have it as because does the mouth of the cave like close inwards a bit? Like
the mouth of the cave opens up a little. So I mean, you're about like 3 meters deep in that cave. Is about how far in it goes, and there's the fire is closer to the mouth than it is further in, just so that it doesn't get too smoky. And then yeah.
So Leshen sat like at the left side of the cave opening, just looking out.
Okay. So yeah, then roll me a perception, the two of you.
Ooh.
Okie dokie. Oh, yikes.
Let's hope I get better this time.
We are the worst lookouts ever.
I
feel like waking up now.
Like, oh, cool.
I have no idea about that.
So
getting the low rolls today.
Yeah, no, because it's dark, and there appears to be, as you're looking out.
We both have dark vision.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is like you guys both have dark vision, and you're sitting there and you're staring out, and it is silent. The air is unnaturally still. And because the clouds and everything were overcast, there is no starlight, there is no moonlight. So it's just this like sort of distant, quiet nothing. And it just like maybe a few meters out from the mouth of the cave, it just goes to black. You don't see much more out from beyond that.
Fair enough. Leshen is still like keeping his eyes out, of course. So, oh, there's nothing now, but give or take a couple hours, someone might. So,
just on the edge of the darkness,
squinting and whatnot.
Just on the edge of the darkness, Cyaces, you see something standing there.
I like very panickedly like pat at Leshen's shoulder, like, Leshen, I think there's somebody there.
Leshen tries to focus on it.
Do me another perception with advantage, because you're really peering into the dark there.
Is it the both of us or just him?
Cool. So.
Fuck.
Looking into the dark.
It's over 10, so I can see something.
You see a small figure standing just at the edge of your dark vision.
So that's 60
and there appears to be a few more figures standing behind them.
How tall?
They are maybe 3 feet. 3 feet tall. They're not tall, and they're standing very still. They could be no more than maybe children to your eyes.
Leshen quietly reaches his hand over to Cyaces and just puts it on her shoulder and just like, stay. Don't let them know we see. If they draw close, we'll alert the others. He has his other hand reached down to his waist and with his hand on his belt, on his whip rather, and is ready to, and is squinting still out there for any sign of movement.
They don't appear to move, and it's like every now and then when you're staring out at them, they're there, and then you're not sure if they're still there, and you squint and sort of furrow your brow and look, and then you can see them again, these figures standing just on the edge of the dark, and they're not moving.
So Cyaces panics.
Okay.
And lets out a banshee wail at them.
Okay,
oh,
so
well, now I'm awake.
I was gonna say, not to break the tension of the scene, but Connell, if you fucking put a jump scare in this D&D campaign, I will swim to Canada.
I will swear to God.
I would love to see that happen, just so afterwards I can give you a hug and comfort you.
Oh, God.
How does the whale work?
Okay, so the Banshee Whale, though, you understand, it's a psychic attack, but it is everyone that's within a range of you.
Oh, wait. What level?
I thought it was
hang
a
on,
choice.
hang on.
Was it a
hang on,
cone?
Hang on.
Hold on, let me
It
have a
doesn't
look.
say. Also, wait. I can't use it yet.
Starting at third.
Starting
yeah.
at third level.
So you do not
I do
have
not
the
do
ability to make a Banshee Whale yet, but you do
Full
panic.
alarm.
That's okay. It is,
I like
though,
to-
looking it
I
up,
like
it
to
is a
imagine-
cone attack, so you can, at a later time, you do get the ability to...
Do you like? I like to imagine you try to maybe try to scream, but chokes out. It's can't, or something like
Could
that.
be. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
You
I'll take it.
You make there's a distant sort of you try to let out a scream, but the dry air somehow gets to you, and this empty noise comes out.
Wow.
Lashin
Yikes.
slowly reaches for his hand crossbow and dips the end of the knocked bolt into the campfire. Half a second, just to light it.
Okay.
Okay.
And in the general direction, not probably overhead, so as just
okay.
as the light soars by, he might be able
almost
to
to make a flare, sort of to kind of create a
Yeah.
bit of light. Lighting the tip of the arrow is not going to give enough light if you sort of shoot it in their general direction, because it moves very quickly. But if you wanted to grab a piece of wood that's in the fire and sort of hold it out to extend the light in that direction, you could try.
Yeah, grab a little bit of tinder.
And so you grab this sort of decrepit old piece of wood that the top half of it's on fire currently. The bottom half still hasn't yet been consumed by the flames. You manage to get it out and hold it up like it's a torch, and move quietly towards the edge of the cave, and you kind of hold it out and extending that light just a little bit further. And you see, standing perfectly still, there's about 6 gray-skinned goblins.
Oh no, they're not friends.
No.
And they're standing there, and occasionally the one in the front, his head tilts to one side as he regards you. The rest of them don't seem to move.
Question.
Yes.
How deep is the cave that we're in?
About 3 meters.
So I would see him kind of lift this torch out of the fire and take a step forward, correct?
Oh, definitely, yeah. You'd see him
Oh,
come
okay.
back, grab a torch, and then walk out with it and hold it out.
So noticing that, Ophelia puts her book away, stands up and kind of leans down and picks up Seth and just kind of plops him on her shoulder and kind of walks up, kind of shielding her eyes as she walks past the fire until it's at her back, and just asks, what's going on?
6. There's 6
Yes.
of them outside. Goblins.
We knew there was 6.
Yeah, just in case they might have not moved in a group. Don't be pedantic about it. Jesus.
If they're
I
goblins, then why are we worried?
They're not the goblins from Ottoman.
Now, as you're standing out there and you're holding the torch and you're very faintly illuminating them, the one in the front, as it kind of tilts its head back and forth regarding each of you, takes 2 steps towards you, very slowly, very cautious. You see that he is, at present, unarmed. He doesn't have any weapons or anything like that in his hands right now, though he does have what appears to be a short dagger on his hip.
God.
Leshen motions for his whip and just uncoils it so it drops to the floor. Doesn't take it off his waist though.
The goblin freezes.
Without dark vision, would I be able to see them?
Without dark vision,
Yeah.
you just see a small figure. You don't see the others that are behind you, just see this one small figure just on the edge of your vision.
Are the three of us still sleeping?
And nobody's woken you up, yeah, so...
Gal's sitting asleep next to
all you guys are snoozing.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't know anything about tonberries in the chat, so die mad about it.
So...
Rolls a little bit closer out of the mouth of the cave.
The one goblin that has taken a step forward holds its ground. The others seem to cautiously sort of move backwards and continue to kind of just be on the edge of that dark vision. The one continues standing there, staring at you. You do me a perception check, actually.
Okay.
For
all of us?
Just Leshen's.
I'm
Leshen's the only one that's close enough. Because I'm willing to give you another shot at getting some better stuff here. Okay, good. 13. That's decent. As you approach, you notice that it is a goblin. It is alive, though its skin is very gray and it's quite emaciated. Like it appears to be very thin and bony. Its lips are chapped and cracked, and it stares up at you sort of inquisitively, and eventually...
Okay.
Oh, sorry. No, so like as you approach and it stands its ground, the other one's gonna move away. It looks up at you and says, You come from door."
That's right.
So Xyces very hesitantly steps forward up next to Leshin and kind of clears her throat and says, You there? Are you a friend or foe?
It slowly turns its gaze to look at Xyces. You came from door. You both are dead. The door that eats people. None come out.
Ophelia takes a step or two forward, kind of just getting behind the other two's back, and tries to see if she can feel any magical anything coming off of them.
Doing an Arcana? Yeah, you're not sensing anything.
Got nothing. Okay.
Yes, we came from the door. What is
None.
it you seek from us?
None come from the door. Many go in. None come out.
There is a first time for everything. Leshen curls up the whip back into its like rolled up state, reaches inside his coat, pulls out a small bit of ration food, and throws it down at the goblin's feet.
Do you have rations?
I keep some on me. There's always some in my explorer
Yeah,
kit.
actually, yeah, that's true. I kept some on me as well, just in case somebody else on the party needed it.
I bought the log.
The cinder blocks of granola.
I have 12 logs.
The granola slab.
Didn't someone give me their rations though?
I know I have
As
12.
part of my explorer's kit, I still have some rations.
a bit of rations,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So you take out a bit of you take out like a little bit of food. So it's like a bit of dried meat, and you sort of toss it on the ground, and it for a moment does not break its gaze on you. And slowly it turns its eyes down to the piece of meat on the ground, reaches down and picks it up, sniffs it a little bit, regards you very suspiciously. Let's see here.
I do not seek your conflict.
It, like, slowly sniffs again at the ration, takes a nibble, and eventually stops. It looks up and it just breaks the weirdest smile.
Under his mask, Leshen's like, and...
Yeah, it's like a chapped, dry, creaky smile with its missing most of its teeth. But it does smile up at you. And it takes another 2 steps closer. How did you come from the door? All who enter die.
Leshen kneels down to get to somewhat eye level. He doesn't approach any closer, but he just kneels down, so less intimidating. And he looks down softly at the goblin and is like, "We have a job. So we come out of the door. We will return soon enough. We do not wish any trouble."
It sort of makes a motion, and the other goblins, they slowly make their way up closer to you guys. Tup, 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 tup. And they kind of crowd behind the one that's there, and it turns around, and it mutters and mumbles in between the others, talking about how you have a job, apparently.
Yeah, Dad.
And eventually, like, again, after they kind of whisper amongst themselves, they turn back around again, and he goes, "Is there home in the door?"
Ophelia, without necessarily getting any closer, so as not to discombobulate them, points at the obvious leader and casts message. There is a home. There is somewhere safe, with food and shelter, and others of your kind. You are welcome to join.
Question. Is message like a telepathic message?
Yes, only the one I pointed to. Yeah, it's a telepathic message. Only the one I pointed to can hear it.
Well, I don't see you pointing behind me, and I don't hear telepathy, of course. So Leshen, in a practiced verse, he speaks. It's like, through that door is refuge from people cast out by the world above. But like you, but like me, but like all of us.
And he holds up a little piece of his ration and he says, "More? Is there more?"
Leshen reaches back into his coat and pulls out enough rations for all of these little sons of bitches.
Cyaces pulls out some of her rations as well to feed them.
They are distant at first. The suspicious, afraid, obviously. But eventually they get closer. One of them samples the food, waits a minute, and then the rest start eating as well. They happily click their teeth in a way that appears to be some sort of tribal communication between them. That almost sounds like the sounds of falling rocks.
Oh, interesting.
Leshen speaks still softly. There is always more. There is enough for all of you. It'll taste much better, I assure you of that, and it will fill you for much longer.
They all smile and look at each other. And they click their teeth. And then sort of look and go, "Where?" "To big door."
And that's a bit where Leshen's
they seem to have a knowledge of the door, but
of course
they appear to be afraid, obviously. But then one of the friends speaks again and says, "There is who to speak, who to talk to."
Leshen, underneath his mask, he smiles sadly, and is like, "You are outcast. We will speak to you." But he does turn to Ophelia and is like, "You were given an item by Satira. Lets you commune with it." Huh?
I was. You just seem to be taking the lead on this, so I was waiting.
Of course.
So.
Oh, no.
No, go ahead.
When Black King brought me to Artemith. He simply came to me. I do not know how someone simply wanting to get in would ask so.
Nodding to Leshen, she makes very sure that her veil is firmly attached. And then quietly walks forward towards the little gathered group of goblins. And kneels down until she's at their height.
Mm-hmm.
I have a way for you to talk to the man behind the big door to see if he will let you in. And as she speaks, she slowly reaches into her bag and pulls out the orb as it's glowing an ice blue in her hand.
Yep.
Kind of lighting up the surrounding area a little brighter than the dark would be, but not quite as bright as the torch.
And it's that is that nice little mix of warm light from the torch and the cold light of the orb. So it's like, oh, look at this ambiance.
A few of them, as you produce that orb, two of them, their mouths drop open in awe.
It's like, what the fuck?
Because it's a fucking cool magic orb.
Like, Jesus Christ, is that a sun you're holding? Fuck.
Do you activate the orb?
She does. Not 100% sure how to, but she just kind of closes her eyes and focuses on it for a minute.
When it was given to you, it allows you to kind of do that that connection, and it was sort of explained to you. I imagine there's like a sort of like you just focus on it, and as you do, oh boy.
Like I just said it did. Ha!
Yeah. As you focus on it, you feel your consciousness sort of like drawn a little bit, almost like looking over a deep cliff. You feel kind of that drawn in feeling towards the orb as you focus into it, and you feel that connection back to you from the king. Now. So, I didn't expect this to happen. So what happens?
Really? You didn't expect that to happen with this group of people?
So
okay.
You reach in and you feel the consciousness of the king, and it's sort of a telepathic connection between the two of you, and you just hear his voice sort of echo through your mind.
Yes.
My lord, we have encountered some stone goblins, and they seem to wish to join Artemith. They've been outside for no one knows how long. They are starving, they're emaciated, they're scared. And up until they met us, thought that only things went in to the door and died. They're looking for safety.
Let me see.
And you, almost very, very, very suddenly, the orb begins to glow a little bit brighter, and what is effectively like a holographic projection of just the head of the king sort of appears above the orb, a little bit larger than normal. And when it does so, the goblins, understandably, panic a little bit and
help me, Pony One Kenobi.
Yeah, take a few steps back, and he narrows his gaze down to them and sort of scans over to them, one side to the other.
Is this all of you?
The one that's in the front sort of shakes its head no. More. There are more. And he nods his head again.
Bring them. Come to the door and ask
for Benjamin Hyde.
His head then vanishes back into the orb. You still have a connection with him for the moment, if you have anything else to say.
Whoo, doggy.
No one better be saying that to Bone Daddy.
Just suddenly a head appears. Son of a bitch!
I believe we are on our way to the village. No, I don't think I have anything else to say right now. Nope.
Nothing else to report, Pops. Just found some friends.
Yep.
Good. Continue with your mission.
We will. I will let you know once we have completed.
Excellent.
And then you feel that connection sort of stretch thin and then dissolve, and
Hang up those.
you're back holding the orb again as you were.
Yep.
Pandora,
Yeah.
now get the fuck out of here!
And so she's still kneeling there on one knee, and now she finally opens her eyes. So she didn't see the whole projected head bit.
Yeah.
Didn't see Sword on, but...
So the goblins, a little shook. To ask politely if there's any more of the food that you could give to them for their travel.
Oh, fucking... Leshen pulls out the rest of the rations.
Wait. I think I know who can help us with that.
Oh, yeah?
So she goes back into the cave and wakes up Big Turtle Man.
Oh, yeah.
Aww.
Can Small Dragon wake up too now?
I was about to say, if you're as a light sleeper, if that giant ball of blue light hitting your eyes might have woken you up.
Yeah, probably.
He blinks a few times, looks up and clacks his beak, and he says,
Yes.
We may have need to start breaking up some of those large rations you're carrying with you.
Granola slab trademark.
We've found some friends who are rather hungry.
Courtesy of Goober and Gobble.
Oh,
He kind of rolls his shoulders.
Friends.
And he kind of looks past Ophelia at what I'm assuming. I don't have dark vision, but I'm assuming I'm in the flaming piece of wood. I can see sort of some shape of goblins near Lesh.
You can see as they're kind of standing in front of him now as he's holding the torch. You see like a few gray-skinned, emaciated goblins standing at his feet, all kind of in tattered clothes.
They're simply hungry and tired, and would just. I think you have enough to spare.
Oh, indeed I do. And he kind of moves over, takes out his pack, removes L log.
Says you, motherfucker! This is my granola. That's fine.
Gets up, takes up his cane, and just sort of walks with it in his hand. Walks over with the log in one hand, and he looks at the goblins, and in the least scary way, manages to just croak out a "Who's hungry?"
They are more hungry than they are afraid. So they kind of skibber up, and each of them sort of like takes a small goblin fistful size of granola broken off of the block. So it's about a day's ration between the six of them.
I'll remove one ration because that makes me lighter. 2 pounds lighter.
Yeah.
And we're good. So I give them one full ration, 2-pound log.
Yes, the master has given us a Snickers combo. It's free.
I was gonna say the exact same thing Pando just made. The best comment ever. While Grumpy Grandpa Turtle hobbles over feeding people a log, Ophelia goes to check to see if Zephyr's actually awake, and specifically goes over to wake up Martis. Martis. We've found some friends that I think you might like to meet.
Right. Okay, hold on. And
More sons.
he kind of pushes himself up and kind of staggers outside and sees the goblins.
So as you stand, as you are a large creature, to their smaller size, as you stand up in the back of the cave, one of the goblins, his mouth drops open, another one drops the rations that he has in his hands for a second and quickly scampers to pick it back up again. And yeah, as you kind of come out to greet them, they're all like staring up at you.
So he kind of looks over and he sees them being remarkably sickly, and takes quite a fair bit of pity on them. Kneels down and says in Goblin, "Hello, I am friend Mardis. It is nice to meet you."
The one in the front, as you're speaking their native tongue, little tear wells up in his eye, and he sort of tup steps forward and just like kind of grabs your nose ring, and is just like, "Friend."
I'd like to think that it is in their fucking genome that goblins have a propensity to love mothers. It's in goblin DNA.
They are tiny folk, and they like it especially when big folk are friends with them. So yeah, they're very happy as you guys share a bit of rations with them, and give them directions and whatnot. Is there anything else?
Yeah, sorry. So I have on me like 2 days worth of rations that I was just gonna hang on to, but if it would be helpful to them, I would love to just give them to them. So that they can like bring it back to their friends, you know.
Yeah. Okay. So
away there to the
if
door,
you give them a day's worth.
I mean, do we need it? I'd be happy to just give them both days worth.
Yeah, if you decide, then yeah, you just give them 2 days worth of rations, and they happily accept it. Like they pack it away in their pockets and in the looser parts of their clothes, and they nod. They'll take it back to the rest of the people that are there. They'll give them food and bring them to the doors.
How much is 1 unit of ration worth? Like in terms of days? Is it 1 day of rations?
It's a meal's ration.
Yeah, like 1 day's worth of rations is enough food to feed you for a day. Like it's enough ration to.
How much is the log?
It's 10 days. It's now 9.
Yeah. Okay, so I have.
You had 20 pounds of granola.
I have 22 days of rations.
Yes.
This is great.
That's why I woke up Grandpa Turtle with the fucking traveling diner.
You're like
Wait,
a
sorry.
fridge.
Sorry, I lied.
I almost spit out my water.
One is 10 days.
So
Yes.
I have 110 days of rations.
Jesus Christ.
I have 12 logs. I have 11 logs. Sorry.
So we.
Oh no, it's
And the
1
rest of
block.
us buy food.
It is 10 days worth of rations, but it is 1 block of granola.
No. He's carrying 3 or 4 of them.
Oh, he just bought the 1.
Oh yeah, and no, right, and then
Yeah, you just bought the 1, which was 10 days worth of granola, but it was a block. It was one singular block of madness.
If you started with 10, you'd probably have like 10 individual normal packets of rations, and then 1 big block that is worth 10 rations.
Yes. So I would have given them the like 1 full day's rations worth of stuff because
And they could share that because they're goblins. They have little stomachs, so you know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Rainer, that's a lot of granola.
Yeah,
they only came in blocks that
a lot
large.
of goddamn granola! Holy shit! I broke. I'll just say because I had ration already. That's why I had 12 instead of 10.
Yeah.
I'll say that I took off a large chunk of granola and gave it to them.
Martis also bought 1 of those blocks, though, so...
Yeah.
We are not short of food for ourselves.
So the 2 of you...
and if we want to share it.
Between the 2 of you, you have 40 pounds of granola.
Yeah, a lot. About like
Not
42
even
pounds of
all
granola.
us eat too.
Yeah.
42 pounds of granola.
That's a lot of granola.
That's a lot of granola.
And only 4 of us need to eat, and 1 of us eats special food.
As soon as Gal gives the rations, he just sort of gives like a
I'm going back to sleep. And he just falls back to his seat, sits down by the fire, crosses his arms, and like lulls his head and just closes his eyes.
I can just imagine you like sit down, fold your arms, and your head just goes like foomp inside your shell.
Actually, you know what? No, you know what? No, he will just sit there and let his head droop.
Okay.
I'm not pulling that Trump. I'm not pulling that secret. I'm not doing it. No,
you have a long neck, so if you fall asleep with your head out of your shell, it droops. Like
yeah.
So yeah.
Do a very droop.
As you guys head back into the cave and bid the goblins farewell, they happily sort of disappear very silently into the desert, and they are gone with that. They vanish, and so you guys done a good thing. Congratulations.
You guys, that was so wholesome. That could have been super scary, but it wasn't.
Yeah, that was almost murderous cannibal goblins.
If somebody woke me up too violently, that would have been an Eldritch Blast party right there. That's. Oof, you're glad you didn't wake me up.
Leshen returns the splint of the wood back into the kindling and sort of like apologizes to Mardus and Zephyr for waking them up during their sleep.
Zephyr has literally just been sitting in her spot the entire time, going like, "What the hell did I wake up to? Like, who's going on? What's happening?
What the fuck is going on?
Am I still sleeping? I fell asleep more than I thought I did."
Conks back out immediately.
Oh, hey,
like, she must be super tired. Like,
yeah.
Hey!
Yeah, cheered 125 bits for Peaceful Solutions.
Leshen returns to his post at the front, but
that's right. +1 hope. And as everybody drifts off back to sleep, the evening is relatively quiet, and the thought that you may be able to avert further conflict in the future fills you with determination.
Oh, God. God! Damn it!
Couldn't escape it for much longer, could we?
The moment that you said the thought that, I was like, he's gonna fucking say it.
He's gonna fucking do it.
I'm gonna take that in a different direction. The power of goblin friendship shines within you.
It does.
Yeah.
Goblin friendship.
If we're talking about goblin friendship shining within you, then Mardus is a fucking sun.
Alright.
So, the rest of the evening goes uneventful. As the sun rises, you guys kind of stir from your sleep, kick out the fire, and get your bags and packs back on, and start making your way back south. Is there anything that you guys get up to before you start heading back south again for day 2 on this trail through the wastes?
I'm fine.
Kind of like pat Zephyr on the head.
She's like literally, she's loving the head pats. She doesn't say anything. She's loving the head pats.
He's not picking up on it. His insight's terrible, but he gives you a look.
Oh no, she's not doing anything. Like, he's giving the head pat,
okay.
And then inside she's like, "Yay!" But outside she's like, "Okay."
Oh.
100 more bits from Rob. Tumbling down Bravo, befriended.
Yeah!
Friendship, get.
You got some more gobos.
Are you?
Also, I just want to point out that the king told them to seek out Benjamin, and I'm just imagining Benjamin opening the door to these little goblins. Yes, come on. He's like really excited to see all these goblins.
The door's just open.
Yes,
and then just deep all the way at the end of the main hall, but inside the doors, he's just standing there like, "Welcome
to Jurassic Park."
He gives them all little matching top hats and sends them on their way into the fucking city.
Yes, come in. Quite.
Yeah, he kind of turns to Zephyr as they're getting the campsite packed up. How did you rest?
Oh, Clyde, that's adorable.
Yeah, I did a bit, thanks.
You seem troubled.
What about you?
Me. Apart from the goblins, I suppose I drifted off. Though I would have much rather to be. And he kind of looks over to Leshin and Saises, like not like meeting their gaze, but I'm assumedly if they're like packing up things.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rob, for more 100 bits.
Yeah.
Woo! And thank you, Esteban, for the $1. The $1 donation. Friendship is the true magic.
It really was.
Tumble down, Gobos, Congolese.
Zephyr looks over, and like, although she's like really short, she tries to pat him on the head, but only reaches like his cheek.
He kind of like recoils almost, but not like in a violent way. He kind of just goes, "My face. Is there something on my face?"
Yeah, it's loneliness, Gramps. Get out
I
of
assure
here.
you, the scars are only that. Superficial, healed, long since past.
No, I was trying.
Chill
I
out,
was just trying.
it's fucking confection.
I was just trying. You were doing. Okay, never mind. Okay.
I would hope that one day your mind is not as troubled as the dust of these wastes. You will find your legs here in this surface again, I assure you. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Understand?
Thank you.
Lock question with
Sorry,
Granddad
I'm
Angry
trying.
Turtle.
I'm like that was really touching and I loved it, but I'm trying not to laugh because now I have the stupid song. Put one foot in front of the other.
I forgot that was the thing. God damn it.
I'm sorry, it's just in my head now. That was good. No, I'm good.
While
Lock
everyone
question
else,
with Granddad Angry Turtle.
while everyone is packing up or having their cute little heart-to-hearts, Ophelia is in the back corner of the cave, just giving Seth a little bath. Just because I know he doesn't need it, but she wants to keep him nice and comfy and damp, and is muttering to him and whispering to him in deep speech. Just because it's nice.
Who's a good boy?
Passive perception of 11. Do I understand what Ophelia's saying?
You know deep speech, right?
I do know deep speech.
You do, and it's something to the effect of, "Who's a cute little octopus? Yes, you are. Hoo-choo-choo, boo-boo-boo-choo." And
Thank you for putting words in my mouth, but basically, yes, that is actually more or less what was happening. And being like, didn't we have fun last night? It would have been so nice to make some new friends. Do you like a little bath? Oh, yeah.
and it blows bubbles and flails its little tentacles around happily.
He narrows his pale blue eyes, but then kind of just goes,
Yes.
and then just continues packing up his bedroom.
So we've had everyone saw, and now Turtle Dad heard.
Yay! Best turtle granddad.
All right. Let us be off when all are ready.
He gets to the mouth of the cave and just stands there, plants his cane, and kind of just gives a look outside of the cave to see what he can see in the morning light.
It's another gray
Right.
day out here.
Yum.
Sky's gray, ground's gray, mountains gray.
Like my personality.
There's dust.
Gobbles are gray.
The goblins are fucking gray out
Even
here.
the living creatures here are great.
Even the greenskins are gray. Somebody sucked all the color out of this place. But yeah, as you guys sort of make ready and start making your way south again, for the most part, it's quiet. It's another relatively uneventful day. You're not really catching anything on the edge of your vision this time around. Leshin, are you in the front again?
Ah, yes.
I'll be behind him as usual.
Yeah, I'm the side gal.
Taking up formation.
Ah, yes.
Back
Yep.
it up.
So it is. So it's Leshen, then Gal, then Zephyr following Gal. Ophelia in the middle, then it's Saises being, like, cuddling, like, holding back just in the looming shadow of the moon. That is Mars.
Out the moo.
The shadow over Innsmouth.
Oh.
Fucking... Alright, so, Steve, give me your perception.
Yeah, sure thing. What's up?
Yeah, give me a perception check.
You alright there, buddy? You good?
Yeah.
10. Middle of the road.
Great. So you guys are making your way along, and it's a little ways past noon. It's about like 3-4 in the afternoonish. And just like a short stone's throw off the left side of the path that you're making your way south, you spy a large stone ogre. Lucky for you, it is face down in the dirt.
Oh.
Okay.
You guys are, I'm gonna say, about 100 paces away when Leshen spots this. Do you do anything?
Leshen is going to keep walking, keep his eye on it, and so don't alert anyone. Or rather, don't panic. There is simply an ogre to our left.
And if you look to our left, you will see a dead ogre.
You will see an ogre. You get about 50 paces from it, and you hear...
That's about right.
And dust kind of kicks out from its face as it appears to be sleeping face down in the ground.
Leshen turns around to everyone and puts a finger up to his mask. It's like, as in the shushing motion. Just go around.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, good. Going
you
around
guys,
us.
You guys deviate off the path a bit. Give me some stealth checks, everybody.
Oh no!
Hang on. Let me check my... hang on.
Oh, yes!
Ooh! 20
Give
and
me a
19.
second.
And wait.
I'm
Okay.
gonna fuck this up!
So that second one, I don't know why it came up as me. That 11 is actually Seth.
Okay, cool.
So you got an 8.
All
I
right.
got a roll with disadvantage.
I got an 8 because I
heavy
get a
armor.
-3 to stealth.
Yeah, you do.
I've got a -1
Yeah.
and disadvantage from wearing chainmail.
I'm a heavy
Do I
boy.
have,
7.
Oh my god, Martis!
All right, so
do
you
I
got...
have
Okay,
any
you got 14.
special Banshee stuff for being a stealth?
Well, I mean, you still make noise when you move.
I know, but...
But you don't have any advantages to stealth, no. Because you're as we had discussed, your body is autonomous, and you have anatomy, and you wear clothes over top of the like ephemera body that you inhabit. So you still, as you're walking along through the dirt and everything like that, and the movement of your clothes against your body still does make a standard amount of noise.
Okay, here we go.
All right, sweet. So no one failed. Don't worry. You guys kind of deviate to the right, and you make your way off, which is like a little bit worrisome because like the terrain is a lot less worn off the path, so there's a greater chance you might like step on a rock under the dust or something like that, or kick something over. But you all actually do a pretty good job of making your way off to one side. Siaces steps on a small rock and it crumbles under her foot. Doesn't make too much noise. Gowl kind of makes like a as you guys are walking.
Shut up,
It
old
was
man.
just really dry.
Just that pitiful old dude cough. There's like the
Shut up, Cole. I know you're
hold
calling
breath. Actually, it's after the fact, but you know what? If you said that you were gonna do hold breath, I'd have let you roll with advantage. Because that's
cool.
funny.
He just
like...
he just clamps his nostrils and his mouth shut. And he just keeps walking like.
I just picture that as you like taking a breath and then your head almost fully like going into the shell, just like your eyes peeking out over the edge of it as you trudge forward.
Turtle powers.
So you guys.
This is like the clink of his armor. Oh no.
So you guys actually make it around, and you kind of like make like a big circle around back onto the path and then continue. The ogre doesn't wake. For those of you who know these kinds of creatures, it's a stone ogre. There aren't really a lot of ogres in Autometh, and at present no stone ogres, as they are not intelligent, but they are enough that they can talk, from what you've heard, and yeah, it's like a large ogre that has stone made of rocks, like skin made of rocks rather.
Gotta catch 'em all, monster friends.
Yeah, really though. We should make a big scary friend.
For the time being, though, let's not wake the literal sleeping giant and
Yeah. So yeah, Whew. Combat avoided. Hashtag combat avoided, Rob Hagen. That's right. You guys made your way around it and then continued. And yes, Kara, they didn't try to befriend the stone ogre because there's a coin's toss chance that it might just try to eat everybody.
No, we knit a big blanket and put it on top of him and go shh, and then walk away.
It smiles happily in its sleep.
No words, only dreams now.
Cuddles the blanket a little bit.
Was debating on having Leshen boomerang a fucking ration down in front of its face, so when it wakes up, it's got something to eat.
It's like food there and a little note, and it's just like, I can't read.
Unfortunately, Yoshi doesn't know how to read.
So yeah, you guys make your way down, and just at the end of the second day, you make your way to the edge of the forest. The forest itself is like the edge of the forest rather is dead. So the trees are mostly rotted and turned sort of like a gray. Some of them have fallen over. But about 20 minutes walk into the trees, you start finding living trees. And before long, eventually, you get into what is a relatively thick forest.
Oh, nice.
Turtle is just like, ha.
Do I recognize these forests at all?
You do, actually. A little bit.
16 on nature.
You do recognize some of these trees. It's been a bit since you've been here, but for the most part, you do recognize this space.
These trees, I know them. Their wood is familiar, not exactly the same as the last time I was here, but they have thrived in my absence. We are close.
Luckily, even the Empire's wrath could not stay nature's hand.
One would hope, Leshen. One would only hope.
He glides his hand down the bark, and like if we cross like something like this, he is definitely gonna slide down.
Oh, sweet. So do me a dexterity.
Acrobatics?
Acrobatics.
Nice.
While
Oh, you do it.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm gonna fucking Sonic
Oh,
Adventure
yeah.
2. I'm gonna Sonic Adventure 2 like grind on the side.
You're
like,
gonna
this down.
you're going to Disney's animated Tarzan your way down the fucking log that you guys kind of use to get over one of these large crags. The air is considerably moister in here. Like there's a lot of cool moisture in the air.
Trees, man.
It is, yeah. The trees are moist.
Please.
I feel damp.
Good, because it's damp. Ophelia, you and Seth, your tiny little octopus, are having a better time making your way through this space. The ground's considerably softer with all the soft roots and sort of like soil and plant life that you guys are making your way through with relative ease. And the air is considerably moister so that you can, it's easier for everybody to breathe, those of you who breathe, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. So, on behalf of Seth, having watched Leshen to grind the hell down that.
Fuck yeah.
Seth is going to try to kind of like swing his way down the vines that are hanging, just to see if he can, because he's a silly little octoboy.
Okay, so you're like,
oh no!
Oh god!
Oh!
Question. Okay, can I? Because Leshen would like look back. Can I try and launch my whip out to catch him and pull him up?
So here's what happens. You take Seth and you put him down on the log.
No,
right?
I don't take him. He climbs down off of my shoulder because he's an independent being.
Oh yes. Oh, so you're like, go, like, see if you can climb under those little vines that are hanging on the bottom of this log. Like, go for it,
because
buddy.
he's like happily like pawing at me, being like, Mom, can I? Please, can I?
So he slithers down onto the log and doesn't even make it under the log. Just immediately, just rolls, like little like, sloppy sounds as it just like tumbles and rolls down the log and sort of just lightly boofs into Leshen's boot at the bottom.
Oh boy.
I thought you were gonna like take it out and try to surf your octopus down the fucking
No, poor
Just
baby.
rolls.
yeah, just, like gnarly like hops on the octopus, surfs it down the log.
Now that's a voice.
Leshen reaches down and softballs the octopus and brings it up and holds the little guy and looks down at him and says, "Good job."
It curls its little tentacles around your hands and it smiles up at you, blowing a few bubbles.
It's like, you rock, you funky little octopus.
Fucking superb.
So yeah,
Seth, here for the lulls.
you guys can just walk down if you want to, but if anybody else wants to attempt
Yeah.
any fun
Oh,
times down
I'm
the
walking
log.
down.
Okay,
You're
sweet.
Not dexterous.
Oh, I'm so tempted.
As Ophelia gets by, Leshen does a holdout, like the fucking picture of Peter Dinklage holding out the rubber duck, like holding it out for Ophelia to take back. Seth, like, you dropped your friend.
This is yours.
He wanted to go on an adventure.
That's
You-
fair.
Nope, not gonna make that
He
comment.
wanted to have a big day.
You need to set a better example for the children, Leshen.
See,
Octopus
I mean,
Bueller.
for all intents and purposes, you can sense that Seth hasn't like dampened the mood at all. Like it had a good time, like tumbling down. Like it is
No.
still very cheerful.
It's like
as
when
you get
kids
it
do
back.
roly polies and they're like, "Fuck, my head's all messed up, my equilibrium, but that shit was great. Let me do it again."
Yeah,
It's
basically.
like rolling down a hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He hands back Seth to Ophelia. He's like, "Give him time, soon he shall shred." No.
Zephyr's at
warrior in
like
the
the top of it, and she's like, "Could do something pretty sweet," and she like gets ready to like do some cool slide thing, because you know, being a rogue and all that. And then she's like, "I don't want to fall." And she just starts walking down. She's like, "Nope, just nope."
Better not chance it.
I'm just gonna walk down to that. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah, similarly, being that Cyaces has very little experience, like, traversing this kind of terrain, she doesn't even trust herself to walk down this log, so she just floats across.
So like yeah, you float your way down this thing, and for anybody who's watching or paying attention, when she sort of activates this ability, you notice that a lot of the things about her become weightless, as though she's underwater. Like her hair sort of floats and trails in the air behind her as she goes, and the clothes kind of float up and trail along as she floats her way down.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Zephyr
Marvel's
totally
cool.
says that out loud, by the way. She totally says that out loud. She's like, "That's so cool."
Just looked at her. Cool.
Yo, fucking rad, dude!
Yo,
Yo, nice.
the octopus.
So you guys make your way
Leshen
down.
crying profusely as his sick backslide grind goes unnoticed by the party.
It went noticed by the tiny friend. That's what
Yes,
matters.
and that's what matters.
That's right.
Zeph thinks I'm funky, and that's what matters.
Seriously though, T-shirt, need one.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
Oh,
Make it happen.
can we get a T-shirt of him just like grinding on a skateboard?
That's superb.
If I
Leshen,
wanted to
too
put
cool
him
for
on a
school.
skateboard, I would
I-
say that it would just be a skateboard and he's just sitting on it and it's not going
Yeah.
anywhere. And it's just
I-
like
I
little
want-
tentacles.
Hello.
Fucking
I
superb,
want
you
this to
funky
be a
little
thing.
cephalopod.
And I want this to be a thing, and I want to cut it into like a crop top, and I will wear it.
Also, genius idea is just him like on the floor, and then you just see all of our like feet because he's so tiny. That's all you see is our feet, and then he's like, "Yeah."
That's the best. I like this very much.
I have all
It's
these
Team
ideas.
Baby.
I just can't draw.
Write them down.
So-
Write them down. Write them down.
So we
It's
have-
team, it's
so
team baby.
So everyone's Tony Hawked their way across the log.
Yeah.
No. But okay.
you Disney's Tarzan your way across this log. Seth rolls down, and then everybody else uses their feet and other things to get along this log.
Sensible people.
I wanna know. Can you show me?
Oh yeah, he does the like sliding front ways, switches to back ways, the feet switching back and forth, like the whole like whoosh out.
Humans hate me.
So yeah, you all make your way through the woods, and it's about a day's travel, but you've just entered the woods as the day's coming to a close. It's about one more day's travel through the woods themselves. You'll notice that for the most part, because the trees are so large, a lot of the brush on the ground level is relatively tame. Not a lot of sunlight makes its way in here, so there's not a lot of foliage on the ground level. It's mostly just like small ferns and mosses and things like that.
Once again, Leshen gets set for setting up camp.
Yeah.
He scores the ground out next to the overhang of a tree. Scores out the ground, so if we set a fire during the night, it will not spread outwards. Like marks it in stones and whatnot, and gets everything going for everyone.
As camp is being set up, Mardus will, after he set his own things up, will kind of idly wander around and see if he can find anything on Shaman's list. Specifically, he's looking for dried holly berries or.
Yes, nice.
Yeah, do me a nature.
I got an 8.
You don't find any.
So I imagine like it's Amardus pulls out like this tiny little piece of paper and he's squinting down at it. Like,
He's just kind of looking at like a cornucopia of berries and fruits and everything on one bush, and is like, I have no idea what any of this is. And just
Gal will see him kind of walk away in like a dejected fashion and be like,
Let me try, my strong friend.
and just kind of walks around. I'm gonna specifically try to look for a caterpillar's cocoon, a bluebird feather, or a grasshopper leg. Like something, one of those. See if I can find one of those. 16.
16. Okay. Yeah. Cause Mardus like looks down at a bush. I don't know what I'm doing.
I have no idea what this is.
I don't know what any of this is. But yeah, no, Gowl, you managed to find yourself a few grasshoppers. You find one of the caterpillar cocoons, and you find some feathers, but they're not from a bluebird. They're from a red-tailed hawk.
So here's a question: those of you who went to go see Shaman, did you share this list with the party?
Not as of yet.
I'm so confused of what's happening.
I think I have the list, right? Did Shaman give it to me, or?
He gave it to you.
Because it was Leshen, Gowl, and Mardus that went to Shaman's.
Yes, and when they were at Shaman's, he basically said that if they found some materials for him on the surface, that he would give them discounts on things, because they don't have certain materials in Autometh that would be difficult for him to find. And then he just gave the list to Gowl, and that was that. Do you mention this though, Gowl? Like, do you tell the rest of the party? As you're
once I return with what I'm assuming are 4 grasshopper legs, if I found 2 grasshoppers, a caterpillar cocoon, 4 grasshopper legs. He'll take the feather of the red-tailed hawk, but just sort of add it to the necklace around his neck. He'll just sort of like twine it into the twine of his like rough bone necklace.
Cool.
When he returns, he will place them neatly in a. Do I have a? I have a little bag of sand. I will put the grasshopper legs and the caterpillar cocoon in my little bag of sand for my scholar's pack, because that is probably soft. Yep. I will keep that in my bag. Dope. When I return, I'll look to Mark.
I found a few things on the troll enchanters list and a trifle. Perhaps we will find more outside of the woods.
At like the mention, Leshen does like peer up. He's like, turns to the other 3.
So we got a list.
Yeah. When we went to the enchanters, shamans, we were not able to purchase much from him, as of course it was expensive. But he gave us a list of things to find over in the overworld. If we could find them, return them, maybe It will be a favor for favor situation.
You went to an enchanter and you didn't invite me? She kind of just does that whole like hand to her chest, just being like,
Modest
Already
pipes up.
left.
Yeah, you left before we could say anything.
"You could have come to get me."
I should climb a tree.
You were busy.
I'm going to avoid this. I can avoid this conversation the only way. Challenge.
Modest gets halfway.
Okay,
Modest gets
sorry,
halfway
yeah.
through a sentence of like, you were bit that. I'm sorry, and just kind of lowers his head.
Gowl approaches Ophelia and produces this like old weathered-looking piece of paper, and he unfurls it and he hands it to her and says,
If you would like to make a copy for yourself, I think it would be a... What's the word? Intriguing experience for all of us to
So
double our
what?
efforts to look for these items.
So what have you found thus far? She kind of, as she like looks down the list and everything.
Grasshopper legs and a caterpillar's cocoon. Also,
and he produces the red-tailed hawk feather.
this is the wrong sort of feather. Does anyone want it? I have no need.
Steve, do me an athletics check.
Athletics or acrobatics?
Athletics. You're trying to climb a tree.
Athletics. Okay. 8. No success today, I think.
No, you get like one or two hands up the bark, and you're just like, no, I need to escape. Conversation, help.
The only way I know.
He side-eyes Leshen and then just kind of looks back to Ophelia.
In any case, this list has the full.
And he takes like a quill out of his pocket and he puts sort of like a little dash next to the caterpillar cocoon and the grasshopper legs.
The rest are unfound as of yet.
I might. Some of the stones on here, I might have a bit of an easier time identifying them. I'll keep an eye out for some of those.
As you wish. Make a copy at your own leisure, but
Yep.
I would like that one back when we're finished.
Zephyr's like peeking over Ophelia's shoulder, being like, I want it. What is it? What?
Shopping list from some. She's like very closely analyzing the list. So she's shopping list. They want to go see an enchanter or something. He wants some of these things. Here, I'll make you a copy too. She just kind of like takes it and like shuffles off while staring at it and gets her book out. Starts.
A strange troll shaman is, but strange usually invokes good enchantments in my knowledge.
Leshen is going to cheat now, and he's going to try and like spot a sturdy branch and use his whip to latch on and pull himself up.
Oh, give me another athletics check.
Come on! No!
No! So you like whip up to a branch and then like go to pull yourself up and your hand like slips a little bit and you don't like fall and hurt yourself, but you like
Let go of the whip and it
let
just
go
like...
of your whip and it's dangling there. You're like, God damn it! Like,
My
Can
only
I
method of
try-
escaping awkward conversations, verticality. It's failed me.
Can I try getting up that tree so I can try and help him up?
If you
Are
want,
not just
yeah.
gonna laugh at him?
No, I want to help him up. He's having difficulties. I'm
Yeah.
trying to help.
Do athletics.
Sadly, I don't have claws, so I can't.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you make it. You kind of dig your claws into the bark a little bit. It gives you a bit more purchase, and you're sort of like you're finding like the divots in between the bark where you can really get your hands in a bit more, and you scoot your way up. Thing is, a lot of the branches aren't really big enough to hold weight because they're way up there. But you find one of the large roots that's sort of coming out from the side, and you kind of climb your way up to there.
Can I like am I high? Am I too high that I can't like reach out to try and?
Probably not.
Have
My
my
whip
hand
only
in.
reaches 10 feet.
You could try to reach down to him. I mean, the root thing that you've climbed up onto is the thing that his whip is currently like sort of wrapped / lodged into. You could reach down to him if you want.
Did you want to come up?
Leshan does cup his hands a bit to speak up, and he's like, "No, could you simply unfurl my web? I can't get it back down."
Oh, yeah, no problem. So
I'm trying
I'll
to gain some experience with climbing trees since I'm only used to buildings. Really.
Can I, since I'm up there, can I try and look for like a nest to see if I can find any feathers or anything?
Yeah, the bluebird leaves.
Sure. Give me a nature check. I'm gonna say you also like undo the whip, if that's your intention. And yeah, so you undo that and drop it down.
That one! Oh no!
I see nothing.
You are sitting on a big root, and there are trees, and it is fucking nice out here.
The sun is just hitting this one spot, and she's just like, all right, now I'm getting kind of sleepy. So she like looks for 2 seconds. She's like, I think I'm kind of good here, and she like starts curling up, and she's like tucking into her cloak. She's like, guys, you got this? I'm fine. And she starts, because she's just like, the heat is getting her so tired. So she's like,
yeah,
okay, good night.
Yeah. So you guys, you guys pack in for the evening here, or?
Yeah.
So Ophelia just kind of like hands the list back to Gal.
He takes it, nods, and puts it in his bag.
Is there a little river or a pond or any collection of water at all nearby?
Down below there is sort of like between the trees. There's like a deep sort of crag that goes down maybe 10-15 feet, and there is a slow-moving stream down there.
Okay. Ophelia is going to climb her way down towards there. Would you like any sort of check?
I mean, there is enough to get down. Like, you don't have to climb down the side. There's sort of like a pathway you could make your way down on foot.
That is not my sheet. Give me one sec. She makes her way down to the slow-moving river and tries to see if there's kind of like two... First off, how cold is it?
It's not cold. It's cool, but it's not uncomfortable.
Okay. We have different relative variations on comfortable here.
Yeah, it's about like it's like, you know, like 12 to 16 degrees. Like, it's cool, but it's not uncomfortable.
So she tries to find two large rocks that she could kind of like wedge herself in between so she doesn't get swept away.
Oh, and you're gonna try to lay down and snooze in the river?
Yeah.
Do you remove all of your adventuring gear first?
We'll try and find another kind of a rocky outcropping.
Yeah.
Kind of like put them under. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's like some large rocks next to the river itself, and if you like lift one of the rocks up, you can like put your books and stuff underneath it, and they'll be secure there.
Now, no anime bullshit. No peeking on the octopus naked lady while she's sleeping.
Oh no! She's wearing her clothes.
Yeah.
She just kept all of her shit over there.
She just doesn't have any of her stuff. But yeah, no. As you
Except
sort of,
sorry. She keeps her bag on her with the orb. That stays on her.
Okay. And yeah, then there's nothing else really in the bag, so it doesn't really matter if it gets wet or not. And that's totally fine.
And now, before she climbs into the river and kind of like settles in, she just kind of like looks at Seth and mentally tells him, "Play in the river, do whatever. You keep an eye on this, and you let me know if anyone comes to touch this."
It does like a little nod at you, and it makes happy eyes, and then like flops over to the edge of the river and starts splashing.
I like to imagine that every time Seth moves, it's like Octodad moving. You just like face plant, like momentum, like flip over.
Honestly, I was honestly thinking in this instance, it's like those little shitty sticky toys that you put on a wall and they just flip down the wall.
Flip, 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 flip. Yeah, you're not wrong. It does kind of like sort of shuffle and slither its way across the ground as it like, you know, slops over with its tentacles and then plays about in the upper parts of the river.
It's only been on the mortal plane for about 2 days. It's still figuring this whole physical form out.
Yeah, how we feel? He's cool.
It's working on it. Other than that, she just kind of like slips into the river with like a deep, visceral sigh as she just kind of floats.
And yeah, it's much easier for you to drift off to sleep in the river here because the water is very cool, very comfortable. Reminds you a lot of home.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so everybody, if you're watching, you see that happen.
For us filthy
I'm not.
Everyone saw. No,
What was that, Steve?
For us filthy air breathers, we're just gonna sleep like hobos in the forest. Leshen's gonna like sit up with his back to the tree and keep watch as before.
I will take first watch as well if
You don't need to. Don't leave.
Oh, he still wants to.
Okay.
He's gonna stay up for a bit and hang out with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Riveting conversation between the two silent edgelords of the party.
The Diocese comes to like sit and hang out as well.
Gel hands her the feather. He just holds it to his right and like doesn't even look at her. And just holds out the feather and just goes,
I have no need of this. Would you like it?
You see like a red-tailed hawk feather.
So Diocese kind of like quizzically sort of looks at it and she like takes it and manages a little smile and she says, "Thank you. It's very pretty." And she like maybe tucks it in like behind her ear or something.
Tell me, Diocese, what brings you to Autometh in the first place? I see so few of your kind, though the undead are prevalent. Banshees are not.
Well, I guess it's kind of hard to explain. I was a human. I died. I became a banshee because, well, for reasons that might take a long time to explain.
Go on.
Well, my heart bears a very heavy weight over some of the things that I experienced while I was living. And well, one day, the king just brought me sanity and brought me into Autometh.
It intrigues
for one
me.
reason or another.
You see, the man that they call the Leshen,
He looks over at him.
a revenant, now is his form, and yet you take a much different one. His is a duty unfulfilled, something that draws him back. Yours, as you said, is a weight upon your heart. I, in many ways, envy the undead. Though I suppose that is a strange sentence to hear from one who was human once. You all have power I cannot understand. An eternity to learn. An eternity to make mistakes, but become better from them. To walk, to see. I will one day become dust, and but a shell left behind without a memory. But you, Leshen, Benjamin, the king. Only immortality awaits you forevermore. Have you made peace with that?
I suppose I hadn't really thought about it.
Well, your company is not grating upon my mind, and that is a rarity in these days. So, I thank you, Diocese of Blue Leaf, and Leshen. Well, that is enough for tonight.
And he just kind
Leshen
of leans back
tentatively
and
speaks up before Yao goes to sleep, and he says, Argo, when we all met, you asked my name. My name is Argo.
That was your name, yes.
I'm glad you understand.
Whatever you are now, the Leshen, the Revenant, the man with the whip that takes point, whatever you choose to be now, that is your eternity, my boy. That is who you are. And I am so intrigued to find out what we will be. In time, a mission from the king is a powerful thing to have upon our backs. And he has filled me with such strange energy, power that I cannot comprehend, and yet becomes more familiar with every passing moment. I think that perhaps I might just enjoy myself.
he turns around and walks to his bedroom.
Leshen's just gonna, like, in his mind, just, wow.
That guy needs to get laid. Jeez. Anyway. Yeah,
So-
so you with Diocese alone.
Fair enough. Leshen does turn to Diocese and quietly speaks. You and I. Do you think we have a box there?
Sorry, can you say that one again? You're cutting out a little bit.
Cut out a little bit.
My bad, sorry.
That's okay.
You and I. Do you think we have a place amongst them? Our very
Well-
existence is unnatural.
Well, that might be true, but the king chose us, so we must have a proper place among them, at least in his eyes, and that's enough for me.
Yes, I suppose that's the right way of looking at it. Oh. And he looks down at his like hands, and he's like, I know one day my flesh will fail me. The purpose of a revenant is to find and to take vengeance upon its quarry. If I do not expire before then, I wonder what will happen.
And in a like brief moment of Diocese like trying to be positive, she says, well, I suppose we don't have any reason to worry about that until it happens.
A dry chuckle. I wish I shared your optimism.
Anxiety is just kind of like.
Your heart. You are kind.
Thank you, Leshen. I think more so than you let on that you are too.
One day I was, and maybe one day in the future I will be as well. And once Leshen draws his hat down, and he tries to get some sleep himself.
Okay.
He only needs 4 hours, but...
Does anybody else?
Oh,
Does anybody else do anything before they head to sleep? Actually, because that is you've just tipped me into something very interesting. Does
Marcus
Were
has already
they-
gone to bed.
Marcus is already
lying
on
on
bed.
front still.
Were they under the tree that Zephyr's in?
Yep.
Okay, and how high up is she?
You're about maybe 10, 15 feet above.
Oh, could she hear what they were saying?
You curled up and went to sleep, but
I
if
didn't.
you-
She wasn't really sleeping. She was like curled up and
Do
didn't
me-
actually fall asleep.
do me perception with disadvantage.
Damn it!
Shit.
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah.
You heard the with a 6, you heard them talking, but couldn't quite make out all of it. Like you got bits and pieces.
Okay. Yeah, because she from the small things that she heard, like she was like not confused, but in a sense worried because of how the tones were. She's just like, yes, if they want to talk about whatever it is, then they will, but she's like, okay, and then she'll go to sleep.
Okay, so these woods are a little magical.
Oh, fuck.
Ah, shit.
I want to get out of the
shit,
tree
fuck.
now.
We don't know this. We don't know this.
But before anything
y'all
else
don't
is
know
said,
shit.
No one knows shit.
I
Do
just
I
want
know
to point
something?
out.
You're a
She
sleep
moves and
turtle
falls off
boy.
the tree.
I know you're not.
I mean,
Never mind.
from before when I checked out the trees with that 16
Alright.
nature.
Yeah, before anything else is said, I just want to point out that so for my like needed rest as a banshee, all I require is like 4 hours of being inactive,
Same as
like
me.
in like a in an inactive state, and in that time I can still see what's happening and be alerted to any like.
Yeah. You just need to sit.
Yeah.
So you can, while you guys are like, sitting in your own places, sort of sitting watch. Like you're still aware of your surroundings, but that's where you get your rest, and that's fine. As everybody kind of heads to sleep, though, there is, like, each of you have like sort of a small memory or something come to you, including the two of you that don't technically sleep. First off, so that like I'm gonna kind of go through these each one at a time, and they all sort of like they all relatively end at the same moment. So firstly, Leshen, as you went and headed to sleep, you're sitting there and you're still aware of your surroundings, and everything's fine. You're sitting against the tree, I imagine. Is that right?
Yeah.
And after a moment of you sitting next to the tree, about an hour or two into your rest, or rather nearing the end of your rest, after a few hours, you feel as though you're lying on your back at the gates of Autometh. And you're bleeding out. And it was like the day that you died. And you remember those familiar footsteps as they made their way up to your body as life was leaving you. And you remember that familiar voice the first time you heard him speak to you.
Argo Leopold, you are worthy.
that's where you wake up. So, and yeah, there you go. Sciences, the same thing happens as you're sitting there and you're quiet. You're sitting and it's peaceful, and you're hearing sort of the distant sounds of the trees, and then you kind of don't notice, but you're standing in that room again. It's a really nice house. The window's open. There's a breeze coming in, sort of playing at the white drapes that are there. Behind you, there's a large bed. It's very lavish. It's got tall posts with the silks that sort of drape down the sides of it. There's a closet open, and you spy a familiar dress, and you can't quite make it out, but it's sort of just on the edge of your vision as you keep trying to look at it, sort of like in a dream. You can't quite make out the details of this white dress. And then you hear in the distance, outside the window, the scream of a single woman. And then you wake. And Gowl. In your sleep, you feel comfortable now that you're in these trees, because it's nice. Like, it reminds you of home, deep in the marshes, and it's nice and it's wet and it feels good. But as you're falling asleep, you wake again, and for a moment, there's nobody around you, and that mark that the king placed on your chest, that mark that he left on you, you notice it now. You feel it in you. And it is a present sensation that's there, as along the edges of the trees you see large tentacles curl up the massive trunks. And you hear that familiar voice.
You've made your way back to the surface, my child.
And then you wake.
You bet your ass I do.
Yeah. Martis, you have a dream of you being in that cellar. And those two kids coming down and being shut. And for that long time, the two of you sitting on either end of a dark cellar, too afraid to talk to each other, too afraid to move for what seemed like hours. And above you, you hear footsteps on the wood, that distant. And it gets louder and louder and louder, and then the door to the cellar opens, and you wake.
Okay.
Shit. And last but not least, or not, rather, second last.
No, there's two. There's two left.
There's two more. Zephyr. You dream of being in those wastes as the rest of your family, the rest of your people, fly away. You chase after them on your feet. You run as hard as you can, but you can't catch up to them, and they're gone. And that's when you wake. And Ophelia, you have a dream where you're still stuck inside that closet with your brothers and sisters with you as someone's pounding on the door to the closet to try and get in. That heavy, that constant, as they're battering against the door, and then eventually the door gets ripped open and you wake. So all of you awaken from your nightmares almost simultaneously as you jolt up.
I fire an Eldritch Blast at the nearest tree upwards. Like, away from us, but like, he just
because
like...
you do that, Zephyr now goes falling out of the tree.
As a...
Well, no, not like the tree where we're sleeping, like
No,
out
no, no,
towards the
it
woods.
scared her.
Oh,
Because
okay.
She woke up in a jolt, she has tears streaming down her face, she hears a blast, and she goes tumbling out of the tree.
I'm just gonna roll a quick wisdom save for myself just to see if I do a thing. Yeah, that's not good enough.
Okay.
So as Mardus wakes up, he kind of scrambles to his feet, and the first thing he shouts is "no," but it booms 3 times louder than it should do.
Thaumaturgy.
Okay.
Huh.
Yep. So
I'm gonna roll for this anyway. Oh Jesus! Okay.
You stand up and you shout "no," and it just shudders the trees around you with tremendous force as your voice carries way out into the trees.
If the blast didn't make her fall, then that made her fall.
DC of wood. Because I'm pretty sure I hit it.
Oh yeah,
You blew up a tree.
You
7
strike one
force
of the
damage
trees.
to a tree.
You strike
Put
one of
that
the
on a
trees
t-shirt.
a bit a ways from you. Like it's not too far, but you strike one with a stray eldritch blast, and it sort of like cooks a swath across it. But like the trees are very large, it doesn't fall over. But yeah, it's like there's like a burned scar into one of them now.
Yeah.
Down by the river, you hear a large splash and a scream.
Goodness.
And a scream that just kind of keeps going.
Gowl full tilt dash just says blast and just gets out of his bed and runs towards the scream. Like 60-foot dash.
Oh damn! Yeah, you get down there fast. Like so you see Gowl just like barreling down the river towards you.
He would find Ophelia in her little rocky corner, still in the water, but curled up in the fetal position, just crying and holding her head shaking.
He kind of like slowly like makes his way down the bank, kind of looking around, seeing if there's anything like around attacking her. Did you want a perception, or is there just like nothing I can see?
There's nothing.
Okay. You hear that familiar like deep like burble in the back of his throat when someone's trying to speak in deep speech, and he just sort of like makes this like these guttural noises that just in deep speech says,
"All right, we're fine. Breathe."
Hearing her native tongue being spoke to her, the crying kind of changes. It's no longer necessarily panicked and terrified, but there's a pause, and then she just starts crying out of loss. Still curled over in the water. None of them got out. None of them got out. We were the only ones to get out.
still in deep speech.
What did you see? Feeling?
The day they came. The massacre.
It seems all of us have awoken from something. Mardis as well. You must have heard his shout.
Pretty sure they heard him down in the Empire's capital.
I feel a disturbance in the Force.
She puts her hand out and summons Seth to her.
and just kind of takes him and wraps him around her neck.
Oh, he comes over. He gives you a snug.
DM?
Yeah.
May I make an Arcana check?
You absolutely may make an Arcana check.
Not on what you think exactly, though. On what I saw, because I don't think Gal would consciously want to believe what he saw.
Okay.
Just to see if he recognizes the voice and the tentacular. That's an 11.
That's an 11. You recognized that voice.
Okay, cool. That's all I need to know.
Yeah. You definitely recognized that voice.
Okay.
Up on.
Go ahead, Steve.
No, continue, Adam. It's fine.
Yeah, Gal just asks, like, in deep space, should I leave you be? And he just stands there with his cane, like, gripped in his hand.
She just kind of sits there and nods and keeps holding Seth around her to get to feel that pressure, feeling something familiar.
Our dreams cannot hurt us anymore.
He turns and just gives a couple of nods and walks away.
As he walks away, Ophelia's going to do just kind of a general Arcana check around her.
Okay.
No,
that's enough. You hit that
Okay.
DC. There is a lingering enchantment in these woods. Do me a wisdom save.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Going from effectively what was a barren, lifeless wasteland into such lush green is not something that happens naturally. This forest appears to be acting as a barrier that holds that corruption at bay.
Okay.
From what you can figure out, though, the magic in these woods is potent. Like, even with a 10, like, you're getting that feel now that you're looking around and you're kind of, like, paying attention to it. Like, yeah, no, you can definitely get that feel. There is deep, old magic here.
She's going to take a little while to kind of get herself back together and before making her way up the ridge. So, whatever the rest of you are doing up by that tree...
Team Undead, I don't know what Darcy's up to, but Leshen is sat there and is, like, just quiet, like, 1,000 yard stare. His eyes are doing the, like, fresh Revenant thing where they're burning. Like, fire eyes. And he's just, like, staring off into the distance, like, arms, like, taut and tense, clenched up, and it's like,
So Xyces is shaken. But I feel like this kind of thing wouldn't necessarily be out of place for her. What do you think, Doc? Is that probably about right? Like, she's wrought with these kinds of feelings fairly frequently.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the, like, you don't remember a lot of your life before.
Yeah.
But every now and then you get these bits and pieces, and this one kind of snuck up on you.
Yeah. Am I able to kind of see how everybody else is doing? Like, do I kind of see what's going on? Can I roll a thing for that?
Yeah, there's insight, I believe. If they still have that.
Ophelia's still down by the river still, so...
Yeah.
That's an 11 insight.
You can see that folks are shaken. Every last one of your party is not okay. They got shook the fuck up by something.
Zephyr is when she fell, she actually could not catch herself, and she did fall onto her back, and she's fine, but she's now curled up in a ball, the cloak pulled over as much as it can, and she's just like sobbing to herself.
After Leshen's like episode, he like just regains feeling, like thumps himself in the leg with his arm for a bit, just to like, okay, you're still dead, but you're feeling, you're not there again. And he's like, okay, Central Inn, what's happening? There's crying, there's stuff going on. Gets up and he trudges over to where Zephyr is first, and crouches down and speaks quietly, still shaking himself, but it's like...
So, Diocese reaches into her cloak and pulls out the crystal tuning fork.
Oh. Okay.
And with her finger gives it like a good flick to strike it.
So you give it this light flick. And everybody kind of feels that tone wash over them. And it is calming. If you so choose, your character can definitely gain composure from this. As she sort of just gave it this little ting, and the note continues to carry. So long as you continue holding it.
Yeah. So I guess, do I hear Zephyr audibly? Like, I can definitely hear her sobbing.
Mm-hmm.
So I make my way over to Zephyr, and I essentially, like, try and give her a hug.
Zephyr, sort of sits up and flinches back, and she puts, like, her arms around herself, but in a sense that she's, like, when she fell, she hit her back, and she's, like, trying to reach over and, like, pull herself closer, and, like, in a sense seem like she's injured, but, like, frightened all at once. She's not crying anymore, but now she's just, like, trying to catch her breath, and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm fine, it's okay. I'm okay.
Okay. So Diocese nods and puts a hand on her shoulder. And kind of just, like, starts looking for the rest of the group. Do I see Martis anywhere?
That's what I was gonna go. I was gonna stalk over to Martis.
Yeah.
Oh, Martis, hard to miss.
That's true.
Even harder not to hear right now.
At this point in time, he's kind of like, after the shout, he's kind of clamped both his hands over his snout and is just kind of sitting and shaking for the moment.
So he's either loud boy or quiet boy. There is no in between.
There is never an in between.
Give him a hug.
Leshen stalks over, and it's like, Martis, you're not there.
And there's a moment there's a distinct pause before he answers, but after a moment he just very cautiously moves his hand away from his mouth and says, I'm fine. I'm okay.
I don't think any of us are okay right now, Martis.
Yowl kind of approaches next to Leshen.
I'm assuming you all had nightmares.
Diocese nods.
Improbable. Something must be causing this.
At this point, Ophelia comes up from the river. And she's slowly handling and flipping this large golden medallion in her hand, just as if it's a comfort. There is something, it's the woods. There's a magic in these woods. If I didn't know better, I'd think it's the Empire trying to keep everything back behind them.
So, as Thyses kind of sees that everyone sort of regained composure, she sort of gently takes her fingers and stops the ringing in the fort.
Yeah, no, the second you bring your fingers to touch the tip, it silences.
And she tucks it away.
Ashen does the... Okay, and stands up and... It's very obvious that what Ophelia says is right. This place is magic and old. Undead like myself and Thyses tend to not dream as much as mortal beings. I motion we leave now, before anything hostile in a magical sense can pervade us as well.
Is it not the middle of the night?
It is early morning.
Like this happened across the night.
Because we woke up pretty much like it's like earlier than normal, I'd say.
Yeah, like you're looking at it like about 6 a.m.-ish.
Yeah.
We must remove ourselves from this woodlot with haste.
Leshen is already coming up and kicking out the fire.
Gal's gonna go grab his things immediately.
Zephyr shakingly stands up and winces a bit, and then starts.
Gal will stay with Zephyr.
Ophelia already has her shit on, and Seth is like still around her neck, but sensing that she's calmer. Two of his tentacles are kind of trying to reach out to be like, but I want to play with the coin. What is it? It's Mom.
But Mom.
Mom, it's so shiny. I want to see it.
All right.
Moment Leshen's done, he's like leading the group, like, come on, go on.
Yeah. As Martis walks with the rest of the group, he's very definitely got Dawn's courage drawn, because it has that like advantage against fear effects. He's kind of using it as a kind of a comfort sort of thing.
Nice.
Yeah, as you draw Dawn's courage from your holster on your back, it like you feel good, like holding it, like it feels confident. Especially now that the light's starting to just break through the trees a little bit as the sun's coming up, and the light sort of gleams off of that like untarnishable shine of the hammer's head. You feel that confidence kind of get in your arms and in your chest. You're just like, yeah, this is good.
So Thyses kind of goes over to Martis and like takes his hand and gives a little squeeze and nods, and then joins kind of the rest of the group.
He gives more or less something akin to a stoic nod. It's kind of hard to tell, considering he's got the Scottish Highland cow sort of fur in front of his eyes.
Giant Shetland pony.
Oh.
But he gives a slight nod in return.
All right.
Ashen's taking point again, and that's on the move.
All right, so you guys making your way through the woods. Definitely a different feel than the previous day, because even Gowl, now you can sense that these woods are fucking haunted. So
I'm sorry, what was that? I think I missed that.
Haunted.
These woods are fucking haunted. Like and you kind of get that feeling that in your scars and in that mark that the king left on you again, you feel it present, like it's keeping something away from you.
I'm gonna do another I'm gonna do another Arcana check.
Okay.
But tapping into the necromancy a little bit.
Okay.
Oh yeah!
That's a lot of Arcana.
Shit.
What were you looking for?
So what are you looking for specifically with this one?
To see if there are any spirits kind of assigned to protect these woods that may be wanting us harm. You know what? No, just keeping it general, the wanting us harm is kind of like flavor text.
Yeah. What you can sense off of a 22, the energies that are in this woods, the magic that is thrumming through these trees, through these giant roots, and through the life that's all present around you, does not mean you harm. It appears to just be very neutral, very chaotic. It is nature in its purest form. This magic is almost kind of fey in nature, that it doesn't necessarily have like an objective or an agenda. It's just kind of there, and it's very, very present at all times.
Okay.
All right. So as you guys make your way through the woods, oh boy.
Oh no.
I love it when the DM does that.
Sorry. I was just like, fucking, this is great. So as you guys are making your way through the woods, coming up to it, you find yourselves, as you're going through like the full day's travel getting through this forest, the trees kind of get smaller as you near the other side. And it's about 2 or 3 in the afternoon. The sun's pretty high, and you're starting to find that there's small clearings in between the trees. So like you're still in the woods, but every now and then there's these little meadows, little clearings here and there. And you find yourself crossing one of these clearings. And who's in the front?
Me.
Leshen. A small crossbow bolt lands right at your feet. Fired from out of the treetops. And before anything else happens, scuttling out from the trees comes a bunch of halfling thugs. They make their way out, and some of them are like cracking their knuckles. Some of them have like daggers in both hands, and standing atop one of the large branches, sort of stepping out from behind the trunk, there is a halfling that steps out. And he laughs.
Fuck's sake.
You motherfucker.
What are you doing here?
Well, 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 it looks as though you've fallen right for my trap.
Who the fuck is this Melvin?
Have the honor today of being mugged by Bandit King Bromo Nubs.
You bastard!
What?
I don't know. I liked Melvin.
Sorry, you go first.
Leshen, thoroughly not in the mood. If you take a step closer, I will gut you like a fish with my bare hands.
And as you say that, he chuckles, points at you guys, and goes, "Get 'em, boys!" And that's where we're gonna call it today.
Man!
We're gonna start next session in combat.
Heck yeah!
Yeah.
Fucking fight these assholes.
I wanna shoot Melvin in the face.
Oh, God.
I'm gonna scream so super scary at these fuckers.
I had a feeling this was coming, but it was a matter of when.
God Guys,
Yeah.
does this mean I can finally have a snack?
You may be able
Finally?
to have
Very
I like how
possible
the party's like, you can abso-fucking-lutely eat their brains.
Bandit
Fucking these guys.
Bromo Nubs.
Bandit King, Bromo Nubs.
Am I correct in assuming this is one of your fucking edgelord shit that you've had kicking around for a while, considering how Steve and Adam just...
God. No, this is ancient. This is beyond ancient.
This is an NPC from a previous game that I played like a long time ago with other people. That like in the beginning, this fucking asshole shows up with his thugs and attacked our party, and we like barely managed to survive. And like the thing stopped being about doing whatever the mission was and started being about trying to chase down and kill Bromo Nubs.
So I remember you mentioning it in like a Vida a couple years ago about Bromo Nubs, and when you started doing talks about this D&D campaign, it's like, I know you're gonna fucking bring him in. I know it.
I know you're gonna bring this fucking character. Fucking do it. So yeah, there's old B
We
Nubs
got 200 bits from Kara for Bromo Nubs.
That's right, for Bromo Nubs, and bringing it to a close, that makes Kara the Volcano Shark our gold medalist this week. For this Friday.
Congrats, Kara.
Congratulations. And yeah, I'm gonna wrap her up because I gotta go eat something, and we are coming up to 10 o'clock, and I don't want to. Like, and combat's gonna take a bit, so I don't want to keep us going too late. But thank you everybody for coming out to our wonderful live stream. Could not have done this without the amazing support of all of our players and all of you guys at home with your fantastic donations and your bits and just everything that you guys have been doing. You guys have been so fantastic. So until next time, though, I have been your dungeon master, Dr. Terawatt. I am also joined by Articulate T playing Martus the Minotaur.
I have so many emotions right now.
And we got Cassie D20 Love Chew playing Sisey's Blue Leaf.
Real talk? I had like real tears, guys. Real fucking tears.
Yeah, boy. Good RP. Top 10 RP.
top keck. Everybody's like, and I know that some people were like, "Oh shit, shit's getting dramatic." I'm like, "Yeah, shit gets dramatic sometimes." This is like some real roleplay, some real drama, and I'm
gonna be all sunshine and rainbows.
And I'm loving that everybody's kind of been going along with this, and playing with, and I think that's fantastic. And next down the list we have J-Nerd playing Zephyr Assistran.
So much feels.
And we have
physically and mentally.
Sarah Sasself playing our wonderful Mind Flayer Ophelia.
So my real talk is I half wanted to shriek out loud, but I figure you guys wouldn't have liked that, my neighbors wouldn't have liked that, my roommates wouldn't have liked that, so you're welcome.
Bless.
Thank you. Thank you so very, very much.
I respect people's ears.
We all appreciate that. And we've got Ninja with a Soul Patch playing Gal Embrace, our turtle.
It's about to be war, turtle.
I hate it.
And Steve the Seregios playing our Revenant, the Leshen.
I'm going to take one of our granola slabs and I'm going to give Bromo a fucking colonoscopy.
You're gonna die, clown!
I don't want to witness this.
Bravo. Choose your words carefully because I need to remind you my opinion of you is low and my friend hasn't eaten in a while.
Oh, it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited for the snack.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a good time. And we will see you again
ones.
on our next D&D game. We're going to be shooting for next Friday. If not, then the Friday after that. And we're just going to keep rolling forward, going as we can. But until then, we will see you next time. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on out.